Welcome back as the Sport Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. Of course, we're very much ready this evening to bring you the latest revolving around the water sport. And joining me this evening to do justice on the stories, of course, we have on our menu with Emmanuel Michael. Good evening to you, Michael, and welcome to Sport Extraordinary.
Good evening to you, Kingsley, and good evening to sport viewers out there.
All right, let's quickly take a look at what is coming up, for the Paris Olympic as it concerns Nigeria. Germany-based Nigerian taekwondo athlete Elizabeth Oyanacho is looking forward to the 2024 Olympic qualifiers in Dakar, Senegal, and hopes to, of course, book a spot at the Paris Games. A 24-year-old, one of the beneficiaries of the International Olympic Committee scholarship, is the second Nigerian female taekwondo athlete to compete at the Olympic Games after Princess Dudu at Athens 2004. But her maiden outing at Tokyo 2020 did not take place as the competition was postponed. Now based at the Taekwondo Competence Center in Friedrichshafen, Germany, she is getting set for the African Olympic qualifying tournament taking place in Dakar next month with an eye on the Olympics. Oyanacho was Nigeria's only representative at the 2023 African Taekwondo Championship in Abidjan, because she repaid the trust by clinching the silver medal in the women's 67 kg. She will be eager to follow that up with the qualification for her second Olympic appearance in March. Michael, what do you make of Oyanacho at this point in time, seeking qualification for the Paris 2024 Olympics?
Yes, for me, I think it's a great one to note that she is beginning to do well out there. As she has benefited, she's one of those students that gain a scholarship, and since she moved to Germany out there, she has a better facilities out there to train with. Therefore, by improving, in all angle when it has to do with the areas of her game, so you expect her to, give a good account of herself in this, in her attempt to qualify for the forthcoming, Olympic Games. So, which for me, I believe that she has the potential out there. There is this thing that comes with you having an exposure out there. Having that exposure, having the opportunity as well to meet with other good players out there. You have the liberty of training with one of the best facilities across the world. I mean, it helps you to improve on your game. Coming back, I think she will be very, very happy and glad to make sure that, she repay back the confidence that has been reposed upon her, courtesy of that, scholarship that, she got. She want to pay back. So for me, I think she's ready. And looking at her social media handle, because I had to go through it, she's very, very anticipating this very one to come through. According to her, she said that she can't wait, to make sure that she pick one of the tickets out there and qualify for the forthcoming Olympic game. Because last time out, she nearly got to the Olympic, but unfortunately she couldn't make it. So for me, I think with the hunger of wanting to showcase her talent in the bigger, platforms such as the Olympic, I think this will trigger her to make sure that she picks one of the tickets.
Of course, we look forward to see Oyanacho, of course, picking the ticket. Talking about picking the ticket, a lot of questions, has been going on how prepared is Team Nigeria, for the Olympics. I don't know what you make of our preparation. The Olympics is about, let's say, 3 months from now. How prepared, of course, are we for another, outing?
If you ask me, I will tell you that I'm not very satisfied with the preparation level of Nigeria when it has to do with the Olympic. We have barely a few months to the start of the Olympic, and we have not seen any concrete and a genuine step towards having a good preparation for our athletes out there. I think for me, I'm very worried because we have barely a few months to the start of the Olympic game. And if you are intending to go out there in Paris and come back with glory, we should have started preparation rather in earnest to make sure that we go out there and prove a point to the world by making sure that we rack up gold, medals, silver and bronze. But if we are not having an early preparation and we are heading for the Olympic, I mean, if we don't plan, it automatically means we have already planned to fail in advance. But then, for me, I think I will also want to say that the sport minister have a whole lot to do in this regard, because this is first, tenure in office, and this is an Olympic year. I think for me, you want to make sure that the Nigerian contingent, starting from all strata of sporting federation, will go out there and do Nigerian proud. And by doing so, it's also going to add to his own CV that during his era, in the Olympic year, we achieved so this and so that during his era. So for me, I think the sport minister should look into that direction by making sure that our contingent are there in different sporting cadre, start preparation in earnest so as to go out there and prove a point to the world. Because over years we have attended the Olympic game without making any major impact, except in the is it 100 meter? Yes, the likes of Choma Ajunwa, Blessing or Kagbere. Yes, in 1996 Olympic game as well, we won 1 or 2 medals out there. But since then, we have not made any major significant impact when it has to do with the Olympic. And for me, I think we should correct that narrative right now. Now that the new sport minister is on board and ready to develop sport generally, I believe that he's going to look into that direction by making sure that he governs our teams so that they can be able to start preparation in earnest for the forthcoming Olympic Games.
Keep our fingers crossed on that and see how that one will pan out at the end of the day. But Nigerian high jumper Temitope Adesina is looking forward to a fulfilling season in 2024 after making a collegiate debut for Texas State University in the United States on Sunday. The 35-year-old made a winning start to the season by claiming gold in the women's high jump, scaling a mark of 1.83 meters. Adesina is a silver medalist at the 2022 African Championship, which was held in Mauritius, and she also has 2 national championships, which she won in 2022 and 2023. She also holds the women's high jump record at the Lagos Athletic Series with a mark of 1.94. And she's already setting her sights at other major competition this year. Away from that, we hear that African table tennis powerhouses Nigeria and Egypt have been handed 3 key groups in the men's and women's event for the 2024 ITTF World Team Table Tennis Championship taking place in Busan, South Korea. The draw for the eagerly awaited World Table Tennis Championship Finals Busan 2024 was unfolded yesterday at the Busan Esports Arena, signifying a milestone as Korea Republic hosts this event for the first time. As the season surge, as the stage is now set, in a month exactly from 16 to 35 February, the pinnacle of table tennis talent from across the globe vie for the prestigious title. Nigeria's men's team has been joining Group 5 alongside Asian giant Japan and Chinese Japan, as well as Czech Republic and Madagascar. Michael, what do you make of the group where we have Team Nigeria, the male team?
Very tough group, I must tell you. We have paired alongside some of the best, table tennis, nation of the world. I think it's going to be a very difficult task for us out there. But then nothing is impossible. But then I'm looking at the facts that the decline of the form of Haruna Quadri and Funke Oshinaike is something that calls for worry at this point in time when we are about to face some of the big teams when it has to do with tennis out there. I think for me, there is need for us to start preparation right now if we tend to pick one of those tickets out there. Being paired against some of the big teams in the world, I think it's going to be quite difficult for us to scale through. Again, considering the fact that this year, not just this year, even since last year, Haruna Quadri, which is our shining light, Funke Oshinaike, they have actually declined from their form. It is not the form that we used to know of, Haruna Quadri that we know of him right now. And for me, if we don't have some of our top tennis stars at their peak, and we are preparing to take on some of the biggest, tennis players in the world, I think it's going to be a very Herculean task for us to scale through. But then, nothing is impossible. I think the Table Tennis Federation of Nigeria should, run around and see what they can be able to do at this time to make sure that, they give some of our tennis players that will be taking part in this one, they needed the financial support and the moral support as well. And again, starting preparation right now so as to, pick one of those tickets out there. Because if we just go there with our fire brigade approach, then thinking to go out there and pick one of those tickets, it doesn't work that way, because it's not a rocket science. We must start preparation. We must look at our best hands and be able to, galvanize support for them right now before we can go out there and be able to hope that we are going to at least pick one of those tickets. If not, I tell you, it's going to be, a very difficult task for us.
Very difficult task, of course, for Team Nigeria this time around. But in the women's team has Germany, Slovakia, Poland, and Mexico to contend with in Group 3. As the top 8 from the tournament gets automatic ticket to Paris 24 Olympic Games in France. African champion Egypt will battle in Group 8 or for the men's event against Portugal, Romania, Iran, and Thailand, while their ladies team will slug it out against European teams. France, Czech Republic, Ukraine, and Croatia in Group 8 as well. Algeria has been drawn in Group 4 in the men and women's events, as the men contend with France, Australia, Denmark, and Austria, while the women's contingent will battle Chinese, USA, Thailand, and Chile. South Africa was listed among the contenders, and they have been pitched against Japan, Brazil, Luxembourg, and Iran in Group 2 or for the women's events. The defending champions, China, occupied the top-seeded position in both the men's and women's team events, as the women's team for China is placed in Group 1 with Hungary, India, Spain, and Uzbekistan. While Hungary has a long history of winning medals in the championship, they will be hard-pressed to get past the defending champions, led by world number 1, Sun Yisha. Team China is chasing their 23rd title in the events and are front runners to top podium once again. Both the men's and women's team events will see 8 groups of 5 teams looking to advance to the knockout round or for the competition. Look forward to see how this one, of course, will pan out at the end of the day. But let's talk about the Australian Open at the moment, because we've seen some upsets already. And we'll take a look at the WTA as world number 6. Osh Jabua has been knocked out for the 2024 Australian Open, putting a straight set defeat against Russian teen sensation Miria Andreeva, while former champion Caroline Wozniacki was defeated by qualifier Miria Timovieva in round 2. 16-year-old Andreeva marked another significant accomplishment in her boarding career, defeating 3-time Grand Slam finalist Jabua in the second round for the Australian Open. Andreeva seed her first ever career top 10 victory, beating on Jabua 6-0, 6-2. Michael, that was not, of course, the performance you expect from a player like Ons Jabeur.
No sensational one for Ons Jabeur, because heading into that game, we actually expected a whole lot from her. You and I were just discussing about that, yesterday off air, when we actually were saying that I think this time around Ons Jabeur is going to at least, go a step better compared to what she did last time out. But then we were trying to raise some hope, because of the fact that at least we're a little bit affiliated, because she's an Africa, and she's flying the flag of not just Tunisia, but that of Africa as a whole. We expected her to get the job done against a teenage sensation, just 16 years old. It's still a schoolgirl. For me, I was actually very, very surprised and shocked at the results, because I actually expected Ons Jabeur to at least get herself through in that very one. Considering her quality and what she brings to the table, I've actually followed her game all over the years this while, and she has always been very, very close to winning a major trophy out there. But it seems as though when she gets to the final, at the peak of trying to lay her hand on a major silverware, one thing or the other just happens. She gets to lose it. And last year as well is not different, where she actually was very close, but then she lost that very one. So we thought that at this year's Australian Open, she's going to at least put all of that, disappointment behind her by making sure that at least she go a step further better than what she did last time. But it's quite unfortunate that she couldn't hold her own, where all expectation was, upon her. All hope was upon her to at least raise the bar and get the win against a 16-year-old, schoolgirl. For me, it was a quite disappointing one. This is a big upset that we have seen in the WTA as well for this, Australian Open. I think for me, it's not a good start for Onjo, but she truly need to go back and, figure out what seems to be her problem so that she can possibly bounce back and, come back to give her fans, that, mouth-watering display that we know of her in the recent past.
Meanwhile, former world number 1 and 2018 Australian Open champion Caroline Wozniacki was handed a defeat by Timo Viva in round 2, having lost the first set in that particular one. And of course, she beat Wozniacki 1-6, 6-4, 6-1. The match that lasted for in 2 hours and 21 minutes. What number 1 Iga Swiatek says she has to be ready for everyone after overcoming 2020 champions Bekenin in the Australian Open first round. Poland Swiatek, who has never reached the final, won 7-6, 6-2 in that particular one. Iga Swiatek, of course, looking unstoppable.
Yeah, looking unstoppable. This is what we know of him. At the early stage, he showed these promises out there. I saw his game yesterday. He has actually improved, on his speed as well and the timing. I mean, her game, she has actually improved on her timing and her speed. I think for me, she's in a pole position because looking at what she was able to put up out there, I was very, very convinced that indeed she has what it takes to go, a step further this time around. If all things being equal, if she can be able to build on this momentum, then I tell you that she's going to be one of the favorites.
Of course, look forward to see if Iga Swiatek will be one of the favorites in this one. But Cory Gauff, of course, continue her impressive form as she beat to hit 7-6, 6-2 in that particular encounter we saw.
Great display from Coco Gauff. I've always have this expectation for Coco Gauff. This is one lady that always want to improve her game any day, anytime. She's never giving up or in her attempt to improve her game. She said that earlier. She said that she has been trying to improve, the level of her game in all angles. That she has taken some clips from other, tennis players out there who she look up to, while growing up. So I feel for me, with that level of improvement, trying to get one or two, tactics to add to what she knows, I think that actually helped her a lot. And I think for me, she's very, very sensational in her display. Was it last night? Yeah.
Sensational performance from Cory Gauff. Barbara Krejcikova beat Kasparov 6-2. 6-2 in that particular encounter, and Anisimova, of course, she got that victory against Podoroska. It ended in a 6-2, 6-3 victory in that particular encounter. We've seen some fantastic results already. Maria Sakkari, of course, she's been ousted out from the competition. She was beaten by Avance Yan 6-4, 6-4 in that particular encounter. We saw Paula Badoza got herself through by beating Povechenkova 6-2, 6-3 in that particular one. And Caroline Garcia, of course, she has been defeated by Freck. It ended in a 6-4, 6-7 in that one. I think that is not a very good result, of course, for Garcia, at the moment. But let's take a look at the men's category. So we've seen some interesting results as well from that particular one. Jannik Sinner, of course, beat De Jong 6-2, 6-2, 6-2. Jannik Sinner, of course, teaching De Jong what it means to play in a Grand Slam like this?
Oh, sure. Janek Sinha trying to teach the young that indeed he's truly young in the system. I think for me, you need to go back and learn what it means to be at the big stage, because this is not a competition for the young shall grow. You know, you need to prepare very well when coming up to this kind of a big stage, because this is the biggest platform, it's the biggest podium when you talk about the world of tennis. Coming to the Australian Open, having a young mind, I think he can't help you to go through. But then I think Janek Sinha did a great job.
Janek Sinha, of course, putting up an impressive display against the young down there. Alex de Minaur beat Anadi in a 6-3, 6-love, 6-3 victory we saw in that particular encounter. And Kari Kakinov beat Kavasevic 6-4, 6-3, 4-6, 6-3 in that particular one we saw. And as well, Taylor Fritz beat Hugo Gaston 6-love, 6-3, 6-1 in that particular encounter. Bershilton, of course, he put it up some impressive display as he beat Okano 6-4, 6-1, 6-3, 6-7 in that particular one. Echeverry beat Gail Murphy 6-4, 6-4, 6-4 as well. Stefano Tsitsipas got through against Thomas in a 6-4, 7-6, 7-6 victory in that one. And Djokovic, of course, beats Popret in a 6-3, 6-4, 7-6, 6-3. What do you make of Novak Djokovic? You know, his pattern of play, this one, I don't know what you make of it. The first game, of course, was a bit of struggle for him. And even in this encounter, it's still not a very clean, will you say, a very convincing, clean, convincing victory.
Yes, it's quite understandable, because as world #1, a big name for that matter, you know, there's this expectation that anybody coming to square up against you will definitely prepare extra, because knowing fully well that you are going to meet against, you know, world #1, one who is still very much, you know, ready on the stage to deliver, you know, on the mandate, which is, you know, packing trophies out there. You expect any opponent coming up against Novak Djokovic to go back and do his homework properly, to be able to take a look at some of you know, the past games of Novak Djokovic and try to, you know, find out his weakness. So that made it very, very difficult for him. Though you will say that you know, he's a world champion, world #1, seated right there now, but there's a whole lot of pressure, you know, against him, because anybody coming to face Novak Djokovic right now is going to prepare extra, because you know that you are coming up against a big name, and you know what that means. So that is why he had to struggle. In his first game, he struggled as well. And now, this time around, even in the first set in today's game, he had to struggle, and he came back in the second set and third set as well to be able to do the job. But then, we expect him with a whole lot of experience that he has garnered over the years to, you know, be able to find his way and maneuver through that very one. But then, it's not going to be a very easy and a rosy one for him at the Australian Open this year. He needs to work extra, having seen that he's struggling against some names that literally he should tame them down with ease. But then, that is not the case. He has actually struggled. But one thing that matters is that he's able to garner the result, and that is where experience comes in. You know, so for me, he still have that edge, you know, in this year's Australian Open going forward. All
right, we'll take a break at this point, but we'll come back, of course. I'll bring out the latest, of course, coming from the world of football. Please stay with us.
He got the right hand, and down goes Bull straight away. Oh, what a point to end it on. So now this is when they're at their best. When they're 12 years for this. So drink it in. Still goes to Andre. Well, he'd love to be immortality as an athlete. 19.79. It's a goal. His 8th goal.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on The Fact Today, only on ATN.
So now my sister and her husband are having a bad marriage.
There is no such thing as a bad marriage. I have been calling you countless times and you haven't been taking my calls, but I do not want to believe that you're ignoring my calls. So I'm going to ask you, where was your phone? You will not raise your voice at me ever again in this company. At home, you're the husband, no doubt. Right here, I call the shots. Do you think you're a good husband?
Your fiance?
Yeah.
I will divorce Nicole and marry you.
I want you in my bed tonight as soon as you propose to sleep.
Is she a virgin?
welcome back as the Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. And of course, we're bringing you the latest revolving round the world of sports at the moment. It's time to talk football, and we'll start from the home scene. That's the Nigerian Premier Football League. Rivers United rallied back from a goal down to beat Akwa United 2-1 in the match. The game played on Tuesday in Port Harcourt. It was Wisdom Ndun who silenced the home crowd in 7th minute when he opened the scoring. The goal considered ginger the hosts to up their game and to go for the domination for the game. Forward Sadiq Abubakar restored parity in 27 minutes and gave the home fans something to rejoice about going into half-time. The pride of Rivers took total control of the game in the second half and pegged back the attackers for the promise keepers. The effort for the hosts were rewarded in the 72nd minute as Abubakar completed his brace, gave Rivers United a much needed victory in that particular encounter. It was a game that Akwa United, of course, would have taken 3 points, but you know, they left that one, as we saw Abubakar, of course, putting up an impressive display to get Rivers United that 3 points.
It's a great result for Rivers United and a very bad one for Akwa United, because Akwa United, they start the game very well, you know, took an early lead, which actually, you know, shocked the home fans, you know, because when they struck early in the first minute, I mean, in the first quarter of the game, it was, you know, very shocking to the Rivers United fans out there. But then Rivers United had to hold their own. They had to rally back, you know, and be able to draw level and, you know, won the game 2-1. I think it's a great result for them. And the woes of Akwa United continues this season so far. Last week, they were able to get all 3 points, and we thought they were going to build up on that 3 points going forward to be able to remedy the situation that they are passing through right now, because Akwa United have not started the season in the best fashion this time around. They have actually getting about poor result out there, which has got their fans worried back there at home, because even at home and away, they find it difficult to win game this season. Rivers United as well, they have not been very, very convincing as well this season. It's either they win this week, next week they get to lose, you know, courtesy of the fact that maybe we said that, yes, they are in the continental duty, but again, I think Rivers United need to do better than what they are doing right now. I expect Rivers United to be firing from all cylinders, get all necessary points out there. If they tend to compete with the big boys out there this season so far, I don't think with the display of Rivers United, I don't think they can truly finish above, you know, let's say top 2 or top 3 in the league this season. Though we say that they have some couple of outstanding games, but that if you have an outstanding game doesn't guarantee outstanding 3 points or thereabouts. So Rivers United just need to start picking the points right now. This is what I expected of Rivers United even before now. No matter how it is, just find a way to grind out the result. It doesn't matter whether it is 2-1 victory or 1-0 victory. Just make sure you get the result, and that keeps you going, you know, so far this season. But then I want to say it's a big congratulations to Rivers United having gotten all 3 points after falling, you know, in the first half of the game.
Big congratulations to Rivers United. Lobby Stars head coach Eugene Agagbe has said his team was unfortunate not to beat Kano Pillars Monday. The pride of Benue had Kano Pillars to a 1-0 draw in their Nigerian Premier Football League match, the 18th encounter. Stanley Ogabo put Lobby Stars ahead early in the game, while Suleiman Idris equalized for this Musakida before the end of the first half. Lobby Stars moved to the top of the summit following the win, and the former Nigerian Premier Football League champions will back to Plateau United next in the North Central Derby on Sunday. All right, let's quickly move on as we'll take a look at some impressive matches in the African Cup of Nations. Yesterday, we saw Burkina Faso beating Mauritania by 1-0. Tunisia lost to Namibia by 1-0. Mali surprisingly beating South Africa by 2-0. Michael, what do you make of the results in the African Cup of Nations games yesterday?
For me, I think we had a great result out there. It looks as though this is a competition for the minnows because they have actually proven a point out there since the start of this 34th edition of the African Cup of Nations. These teams we call minnows in quote, they have actually come up very strong against the big boys out there. We saw how Egypt, had to labor at the dying minute of the game before they had to come back and equalize, and were able to get a point in that very one, courtesy of a late penalty, converted by Mo Salah. We've seen Cameroon as well struggling. We saw Ghana, defeated by a minor, and again, I think this year's edition of the Nations Cup have sprung so many surprises out there. And for Mali against South Africa yesterday, I wasn't surprised by the result because I knew that Mali was going to ground out the result whichever way they want to do it. Why? Because they have a couple of good players out there, a whole lot of experience, within the Malian team compared to their South African counterpart, who have about 75% of their players, drawn from their local league out there. It's either from Melody Sundowns, so, and a very young squad for that matter. Many of them haven't attended the Nations Cup. This is their first time of, being in such a big stage, and you expect, that pressure to be there. So for me, I think a lack of experience actually played a major role against South Africa yesterday, where we saw, they played a very good and eye-catching football in the first half. Even in the second half, they hold on to the ball, try to distribute and knock the ball around, but then they couldn't find a cutting edge, which for me is very, very vital in the game of football. No matter how far you are good in passing the ball, if you can't get the ball behind the back of the net, then it will be like, you were just playing the pitch of play, because what matters in the end of the game is the result. That is what matters. And Mali got the result yesterday, while South Africa, they did, they were good in knocking the ball around but couldn't get the result. So for me, I think it's a big win for Mali. Let's hope that they can build on from there, going forward. And so for some other result as well, I think the Nations Cup this year, like I said, is going to boil down to the last game of the tournament before we can truly say that, this minus in quotes is making a very strong statement, because we have seen upsets and, in this year's edition of the competition. So for me, I think it has been very fair. Looking at the games that I played yesterday, I'll tell you it has been mouth-watering game, and, I think this is what I want to see going forward.
Of course, let's see how this one comes out. The African Cup of Nations has been very, very exciting at the moment. But what do you make of the level of officiating in the games so far?
Well, for me, the level of officiating, I would say very fair, very fair, very fair. We've had, the center ref making some good and very wise decisions out there without the intervention of the VAR. I think we've played about 10 games so far. We've had about five VAR decisions, which was actually adjudged to be correct in all of those decision making. I think for me, the officiating has been very fair. We have not had any controversy so far since the start of the 34th edition of the African Cup of Nations. So I was made by the LOC while preparing for this very one. The local organizing committee, they made it very clear that they are going to deploy school children to make sure that they fill those empty spaces out there when the Nations Cup kicks off proper. And we're very happy, knowing fully well that they've made arrangements in that regard to ensure that fans turn out in their number. But from what we are seeing, I think from the day, the opening ceremony will have, at least a sizable amount of crowd out there coming back, coming to the stadium to be able to cheer their different team to victory. But then after that opening ceremony, we discovered that, the stadium began to go very cold and the stadium very scanty in some of the games that I've played so far. So it's not a cheering news for me. I think the LOC, they should do more. possibly maybe they need to go back into the street out there and do some kind of rally, so that you be able to rally around the fans and tell them to come and watch the games. And again, looking at the gate fee, stadium fee, they should also look at the angle of trying to trim down the prices, because we know the economy of Africa, because we are talking about economical issue right here in Nigeria. It does not only end here in Nigeria, it cut across other African nations as well. So I believe that has also played a major role, why many fans is not turning out in their number to support different teams out there. So I think the LOC, they need to do more in that area, possibly do a kind of a rally or a kind of I don't know, but they just need to do something to make sure that they'll be able to bring the fan, because there is this beauty that comes with having the fan, feeling the stadium out there, even give the players on the pitch of play extra motivation, because when you are playing out there, you see some of the cheering, some of the boo, you see the reaction of the crowd out there, even help the players as well to up their ante by making sure that they get all 3 points, because there's this thing about the 12th men on the pitch, talking about the fans out there. Whenever you look around while on the pitch of play, you discover that the stadium is filled to its brim. It gives you extra motivation as a player to, perfect your craft out there in the pitch of play. So I think they need to do a lot in that area.
Of course, they need to do a lot in that area. And still talking about the AFCON, Morocco, of course, they are playing against Tanzania as we speak. That game, of course, is halftime at the moment. It is Morocco 1, Tanzania 0. Michael?
Well, I actually expected Morocco to grant out the result, because they are parading some of the exciting players and one of the exciting squad in the history of Morocco right now as it stands. The likes of Yassine Bono, their goalkeeper, world-class keeper. We saw what he did at the World Cup. Achraf Hakimi has been their star man this season for both his country and the club side as well. They have a couple of good players out there within their rank, and one thing that they have going for them is that they understand themselves as a unit. They are not playing the individual kind of football. They play like a team, and this is where you get to see a strength of a team that plays like a unit. It's always very, very difficult for you to surmount such team, and we've seen what Morocco national team have done so far in the last World Cup, where they actually got to the semi-final, the first in the history of the African nation to get to the semi-final of a World Cup, but they were knocked out, but they actually did Africa proud. Now, looking at their female counterpart as well, this is the first time that the Moroccan women team is appearing at the Women World Cup. They also got to the round of 16, which is very massive. So it tells you that there have been a gradual process of long-term planning. They had to do this deliberate attempt of developing sport generally in the country for the past 3 to 4 years right now. They have gone back to the grassroots, tried to catch them young and try to integrate some of the youth players into the national senior team, and it has been working very well for them, because they have invested massively in the area of sports rather, and they are beginning to get the result out there. So coupled with the exciting squad that they have this time around, I assure you that Morocco, if there's anything to go by in this African Cup of Nations, Morocco definitely will be one of the favorites going forward.
The other Congo will be national against Zambia tonight. I'll keep our fingers crossed on that particular encounter. But tomorrow, Super Eagles, of course, will be back in action, Michael, against Cote d'Ivoire. What are their chances of getting all 3 points?
It's a big question here. Their chances of getting all 3 points against the host nation will be very, very difficult. But in the game of football, nothing is impossible. I mean, nothing is impossible. If we see Qatar defeating Argentina in the World Cup in their first game, but then Qatar could not even go beyond the group stage, while Argentina went to the final after being defeated in the group stage. In France 98 as well, Senegal made a point for themselves after defeating France in the opening game as well. Coming into this one against the host country, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, I think it's going to be a very difficult one for the Super Eagles. But then, like I said, if the Super Eagles look back and discover that indeed football is the only unifying factor that we have in this country, then they will up their ante, making sure that they get all 3 points, so as to give their fans back there all over the world the hope that indeed the Super Eagles can progress through in this very one. Because if we lose that game, then it's going to be a very difficult one for us. We have to win the last game, hoping to look at what other result is going to be. And those kind of mathematics that we keep doing every day, we start punching calculator years in, year out. I think we have come a long way. Since the last coach, talking about General, took over, we have abolish that idea of trying to go to the market, get calculator and start punching. If Nigeria draw against this and Ghana win against such team, what is our chances? I think we can't be doing such mathematics right now. We need to go out there and prove a point to the world that indeed we are still the Super Eagles, the giant of Africa, who has won the African Cup of Nations record 3 times. Coming up against Ivory Coast, we can do it. If we did it in 2013 against the same Ivory Coast, when they had their golden generation, in that 2013, nobody fancied the Super Eagles to defeat Ivory Coast because they have good players plying their trade in some of the biggest clubs in Europe then. Yaya Toure, Kolo Toure, Didier Drogba, Solomon Kalou, Jovinho, just name them. These are the star-studded team that the Ivory Coast national team paraded as at that year against Super Eagles that have less fancied player than, but then we were able to scale through. We defeated them. This time around, we are the highest valued squad when you talk about the African Cup of Nations right now, talking about the Super Eagles. So for me, I think Super Eagles have what it takes to muster all the 3 points, to get all the 3 points against Ivory Coast come tomorrow. If the coach can get his tactics right, I tell you, it is very, very possible we can get all 3 points tomorrow.
All right, keep our fingers crossed and wait for tomorrow when the Super Eagles will lock on against Cote d'Ivoire in the African Cup of Nations. Michael, our time is up and we have to leave the studio. A special time, of course, it has been this evening.
Definitely. Let's hope that the Super Eagles can bring smiles to the faces of Nigerians tomorrow, because we are waiting for that one, seriously anticipating to get all 3 points so that we'll have that confidence going forward.
Of course, the conversations continue on social media, and do well to follow us, as of course we'll be continuing the conversation down there. Please don't forget, peace and unity always the pathways to progress. We'll be back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. for Sports Talk. My name is Kinsley Emmanuel. Thanks for watching.
Greenwoods went for goal. Goalkeeper